So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to our second part to understanding of the zodiac sign and their simplest depth that many miss and is very essential in Vedic astrology. So, of course, we have Eve here back to teach us about the simplicity of the zodiacs that we really need to look into. So, welcome back again.
Thank you, Kapilji. You know me, I always like to open with a mantra. And I want to first I always say this, guys, and I really can't emphasize how much I mean this. Please be protected from my ignorance. Okay, me being here as a friend and sharing is very different than sitting in the seat of a guru or a real teacher. I'm simply sharing with you, and I would really like to encourage all of you that when we sit together like this, just uh, try to just empty yourself a bit. Okay, just try to sit with what these rashis or nakshatras or whatever we're covering, grahas, um, just try to sit with what they may be in your direct experience without the thought of, oh, I read this in this book, or I watched this in this video, or just try for a minute to conceptualize the Rashi, since we're going to be covering the Rashis, the Rashi itself, as if you maybe haven't heard of them before. I think this is very helpful. And so I just put my head down in whatever humility I have access to, because this topic, all of Jyotish really belongs to the rishis, and I'm definitely not a rishi. I feel very intimidated sometimes by stepping into this role. So let's just all be here together as friends. Let's try to see if we can understand something a bit deeper. One thing I would like to do today is actually do the proper jnana mantras for the planets. So Kapilji, if you would let me open with that, with each
Sure.
planet, because
Okay.
if there's knowledge anywhere, it most likely is in the nod, the sound. Guru. Okay, Brahaspati is what? Expanse. He's also Vachaspati. He deals with sacred sound, actually. He's the carrier of Akash Tattva. So who is the teacher of the gods? Is he teaching through words, or is he teaching through the internal nod? Right? The sound. So when we think that knowledge is words, or information, we may be misleading ourselves. So let's just try to sink into the mantras really quick. Each sound is really important. Sometimes it's not even important to know what you're saying. It's not even important to know the meaning, if you hear or resonate with the sounds enough. Now, on each one of these slides, I do have very, very simple slides this time while going through the Rashis. And Kapilji, what I'd like you to do is just ask questions about the Rashis, and we'll just kind of take it there. But in each one of these, I have a set of bija mantras for each Rashi. These are not found online. They are from a Shakta tradition, and I have no power to initiate anyone into this. I'm simply sharing. So if someone is so inclined, these are mantras that cannot harm the person. I've left out specific portions of the practice. These are mantras that the person can recite. They're bijas, very simply, even mentally, and have an experience on their own with that. So, okay, so let's open with this is just the classical jnana mantras for each.
I'll definitely have a question once you finish the mantra about this.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, good. Okay, so we see Sri Vishnu here, and this time he's with 3 wives. So there's a story around this that we may get to later, and I just wanted to. This is from Srimad Devi Bhagavatam has a very interesting story about this, and it's very relative to stabilizing some effects of Jyotish when we're having a lot of turbulence. So if we get there, later we'll cover that. That's why I have Sri Vishnu here like this. And then these are some representations of the Rashis here for us. So, okay. Om Hrim Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Chapakasumasangkasham kashyapayam mahadyutim tamhorim sarvapapagnam pranatosmi devakaram om dadishankatushārabham kshirodharnavasambhavam namami sashinam somam शम्भोर्मकुटभूषणम् धरणिगर्भसम्भूतं विद्युत्कान्तिसमप्रभम् कुमारं शक्तिहस्तं च तं मङ्गलं प्रणमाम्यहम् प्रियङ्गुकलिकश्यामं रूपेण प्रतिमं बुधम् सौम्यं सौम्यगुणोपेतं तं बुधं प्रणमाम्यहम् देवनं च ऋषीणं च गुरुं काञ्चनसन्निभं बुद्धिमन्तं त्रिलोकेशं तं नमामि बृहस्पतिम् हिमकुन्दमृणालाभं दैत्यानं परमं गुरुं सर्वशास्त्रप्रवक्तारं भार्गवं प्रणमाम्यहम् नीलञ्जनसमभासं रविपुत्रं यमाग्रजं चयमार्तण्डसम्भूतं तं नमामि शनैश्चरम् अर्धकय्यं महावीर्यं चन्द्रादैत्यविमर्दनं सिंहिकगर्भसम्भूतं तं राहुं प्रणमाम्यहम् पलाशपुष्पसङ्काशं तरकाग्रहमस्तकम् रौद्रं रौद्रात्मकं घोरं तं केतुं प्रणमाम्यहम् ॐ ग्रहपतये नमः ॐ नक्षत्रपतये नमः ॐ राशाधिपति नमः ॐ नमः शिवाय. Thank you. Okay, let's dive in.
Okay.
So you said you had a question.
Yes. So you said you were giving the bija of the Rashi, right? Was this it that you were showing? Or is it you're going to show it?
So here we have Mesha Rashi. So we're going to have a slide for each one.
Okay.
And I'll go ahead and pronounce each one in case.
Okay, so these are the bija mantra. Okay, so
These
I'll have a question then once you finish that.
Okay.
Okay.
So this is for Mesha Rashi. We see Mangal as the Rashipati, right? So there's actually a famous song to Angarika, which talks about being the Pati of the Lord of Mesha and Vrishchika Rashi, as we know. So these syllables, now all of them are going to start with a basic Om, and it's going to end with Namaha. Now you don't want to try changing this up with Swaha or something, please. What makes this protective for you is the Om and the Namaha. You don't want to start getting into like Hum Pat Swaha and all of this, okay? So you might see these things online. Just be kind of gentle with yourself. You don't always know what energies you're inviting in, so it's better to always be on the side of having our heads down, that we don't understand all of these energies, and maybe we shouldn't just be increasing the intensity. Some of us might be able to, but we really don't know what we're bringing into our home. This is a science. Okay, so this is Om, Am, Im, Namaha. Om, Im, Namaha. That's for Mesha Rashi. Those sounds.
Okay.
Om, Im, Namaha. Simple.
Okay.
Okay, you had a question?
Well, I think my question will be probably more conducive once we get to the sign of Pisces, because then I'll have a question that I think people are probably already thinking. So I'll ask my question, or unless you want me to just ask right now.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
because
let's
people
say
get into each cross too. Yeah.
once we go through these Rashis, like for example, let's say when you go to Taurus, right?
Mhm.
So if let's say that is the mantra for Taurus, does that mean that an individual, if they are lacking sustenance, lacking their second house, they can do this mantra, which can then activate that particular house or that where that sign is placed? Will that work in that way, or simply if, or will they have a completely different outcome versus their birth chart? Because I know everybody will be like thinking that in those terms.
I often think one of the most valuable gifts to give to people is the tools to help themselves,
Mm-hmm.
not just to speak at them about the qualities of the Rashis, this and that, this personality. I think to your point, one of the things I felt tonight that was more important than my uh, expounding of any kind of, oh, Vrashab is, food and abundance and nourishment and all these things. That's all over the internet. But yes, a tool to actually help this energy become more harmonious that someone can do on their own, independent of anyone else, I feel is one of the most valuable gifts. So let's not, first of all, let's start here with answering your question. Let's not promise anyone that these sounds are going to solve their second house problems. I
Okay.
think one of the big issues in Jyotish right now is that there's too much emphasis on quick fix remedies, charging people tremendous amounts of money. I'm not saying Jyotishi should not charge. This is a world where people must actually feed their family. No one can bring you a cow now. You're not living in a forest in a hut
Yeah.
where people can bring fruit and milk. So they do have to give you provisions so that you can continue to do your practice. That's one thing. Then there is the utter exploitation of people's fears that we do know happens in this kind of world, of fortune telling and all of this, just preying on the fears of people. So we shouldn't give quick fix promises ever, because one of the biggest lessons of, let's say, Bhagavad Gita and all of the sacred classical texts of Bharat, of India, is that you are also responsible. You have to take action. So just paying someone to do it for you, for instance,
Yeah.
there is a societal need to support priests, no doubt. I 100% agree with this. At the same time, on your own spiritual journey and when you're dealing with your own issues, you need to be the commander at the center. You need to be in complete alignment with yourself so that you're accountable for what's happening in your life. This is part of spiritual practice, and it's very much part of Vedic culture. I don't know how Jyotish in the East has become so much like this lal kitab. You know, you just wear
Yeah.
this ring and do this, and you, okay, I'm, I've been doing this over 20 years. I've seen these quick fix things and people paying a lot of money for it, these mantras and this and that. And all the while, the person is just trying to avoid doing their own work. The real thing that needs to shift is actually inside. Because if you are repelling to life, if you are repulsive to life, you will not magnetically attract what you're trying to get. No matter how much you hunt it, no matter how many remedies you do, if you don't adjust your fortune within, if you don't adjust the lotus within, the lotus lady, the Devi, the Lakshmi, if
Hmm.
you don't allow her to be magnetic, then you will continuously be repulsive to the things you're trying to draw to you because your energy is so outward.
Right.
Electricity always revolts, it always pushes away. So we have to think about a physics principle here, that there is perhaps some other mechanics at work when it comes to why we have a lack of something or an excess of something.
Hmm.
So it has to start first with just a clean slate. I don't know anything. I'm humbled by life. The most honest thing a human being can say is, I don't know. And
Right.
if you don't, you've got to try things. So let's first of all say, let's be very discriminating. Who is trying to take advantage of the situation if we're in pain and someone's going to charge us $5,000 for this oven and
Yeah.
this thing? And please think, please protect yourself from that kind of pollution. So what I would say that these things do in a realistic way, without
Uh-huh.
giving false promises, if you look at nature, most things are about harmony, balance, more than morals, more than right and wrong. Human beings like to be each other's police.
Yeah.
We like to judge people, we gossip, this, can you believe this person did that? Who really cares?
Hmm.
Really, who cares what anyone thinks of you? Inside, deeply, just really feel where your heart is. Your mind might get caught up in all these things, but there's a deep part of you that really knows that there's something beyond being just a good or bad person.
Hmm.
Nature doesn't really respond to that. Nature responds to some kind of balance. And the way you can see this is that everything in an ecosystem will balance itself out. There are fish, insects, all kinds of things that will, well, specifically amphibians, that will, and fish too, that will even adjust their gender, right? The very
Yeah.
mercurial thing. If there's two little females or two little males, other ones will change form just to make sure that there's an equal number. That's
Yeah.
incredible. Some kind of intelligence at work. Then you have systems where, like the Yellowstone example, which I've used before talking to people, but it's a very profound example where the deer were out of control eating all the greenery because the
Uh-huh.
natural predator had been killed, the wolves. As soon as they reintroduce the wolves, the deer population is evened out and the greenery comes back.
Right.
Okay, so something in nature is not so fearful of death as a human being. It's not so fearful of, it's not thinking in the ways we're thinking. The intelligence of nature is very different. Now, these devatas of the grahas, they are also some intelligence in nature. And why we look at a birth chart is not to tell a person that they are auspicious or inauspicious. This to me is a great sin. Spiritual arrogance and false purity is a big sin
Hmm.
because those are the things that lead to violence. That leads to violence in the household. It leads to all kinds of disruptions. So what do? You read a chart of a girl that's newly married and you tell the family she's got this inauspicious thing. So then when something goes wrong, everyone in the house blames this poor girl.
Right.
Like, do you want to contribute to that? Or do you want to understand what nature is really doing? Because these are a force of nature. So what is inauspicious, what is auspicious, technically, when there's an imbalance of something, then something goes off. It's that simple. It's that simple. We don't need to make it auspicious or inauspicious. It's
Right.
that simple that when there's an excess of something, like even an excess of a medicine is a poison. And when there is a like a what do you call drought, there's some kind of less, just
Uh-huh.
nothing is there, then whenever you have too much or too little, you've usually got a problem in nature.
Right.
Okay, so these mantras, what I would say on a realistic level and through actual experience, is that the too much and too little feature of the sound, I have a feeling that science will eventually discover, if we don't blow ourselves up first, say that.
Right.
But eventually, we'll discover that we are very affected by this, whatever Jyotish is, by sound and light. Something to do with these two features. Okay. They've even, NASA has recorded the sounds of the grahas, and sound really affects us. They even have weapons designed out of sound now. They can paralyze you. Yeah, I mean, sound is really, sound is everything, vibration, right? It's just, so these sounds, when they're done properly, will adjust you to the current that's already coming from the balanced portion of the Rashi. This is the sound that balances that Rashi somehow. Whatever that effect of that Rashi is, this sound tunes the instrument. And then the person is more likely to attract the things of that Rashi. They're more likely to become attractive to that. See, the whole thing is about magnetism and repulsion, meaning this whole world is built off of this attraction, repulsion energy. Look at batteries. Look at everything that we know about nature. With somehow there's one quality, then there's got to be an opposite quality. I can't name anything without an opposite. There's
Right.
nothing without an opposite. In this loka, this bhuloka, is it's constructed, like the gunas are actually built off of opposites. So when we become too electric, because we are electromagnetic beings, we are. Our heart actually functions off of electromagnetic current. When our mental space becomes very electric, we're pursuing, energy's going out. Once again, that is an imbalance. So anxiety is a form of electricity, and people actually experience it in their body. Anulom Vilom pranayam or Nadi Shodhana is really good for this.
Okay.
If people know it, I can't initiate it. I'm not doing any of that, but that's a simple pranayama. I mean, that's something you
Okay.
can learn in a yoga class. But these things, anything that is bringing the nervous system back into some kind of relaxed state, becomes really important when life is running from you. If the things that you feel you need to survive are just way out there, they're like running away from you instead of coming towards you, adjust yourself first to see what's happening.
Mm-hmm.
There are cases where you cannot get out of the bad luck. And we need to be realistic about that. Whatever the bad luck is, there are cases. We should not give people that kind of false hope. Real hope comes in the fact that those kinds of experiences, typically the ones that can't be altered by action, that's a different topic, but those are the kind of experiences that they mostly get delivered to very spiritual people. or people that are supposed to do something else, and that kind of thing will get delivered to, Mirabai, her whole family trying to poison her, all of this crazy stuff that majority of people I talk to, many people know this inside, but they want the Jyotishi, they want me or someone else to give them some quick fix. Like
Mm-hmm.
say, oh, when Venus transits, whenever, when your sati stops, everything's going to get better. But this is not how it works. And this is why Jyotish is in such the condition that it's in. It's in a very, I would say it's in a very destabilized position. If we have to be really honest with ourselves, I don't even know if anyone really knows the true system of Jyotish of the rishis. I don't know. I don't know about this. I think there's
Yeah.
so many missing pieces, right? So then, therefore, we need to just help people come to some point of balance, specifically realize that what's going on inside you internally has a lot to do with the external state. It doesn't mean if you adjust your internal state, you're going to become a billionaire. See, that kind of thought is actually what's wrong in the internal state. That you even need to become a billionaire to be happy. That's
Right.
actually something wrong. Not wrong in a like you're bad. Okay, no shame here. But I'm saying
Yeah.
that's something imbalanced. If
Mhm.
you feel you need to become a billionaire to be happy, that is most likely an energetic imbalance because it's not true. Person
Yeah.
truly happy, person truly happy can be on in a hut and be happier than a king who has the big headache, huge headache, you know. So really, when we go through these guys, I'll say each one of them and we'll start talking about the Rashis too. Do
Okay.
remember, we are responsible for ourselves. I almost blame monotheism for some of this, like some God's going to come and just like do everything for you. Why would that? Why would they cheat you?
Right.
So if you want your child to walk, do you walk for them? You let them fall. You let them learn to walk, right? You don't move their legs for them. So even if there was some kind of God that does interfere, let's just say there are other beings. I say this without being shy about it. People can think I'm crazy. I
Yeah.
am. It's okay. I don't, yeah.
No,
So yeah. But but let's say that they could help you. They're going to be really interested in really helping you,
right.
not helping you how you think you should be helped. Perhaps just like a parent sees a little child might think it needs to eat all of the ice cream in one night, and it may think this, it may think that, but the adult
Mm.
kind of knows it's not a
Yeah.
great idea. It's not a great idea. So yeah. So these mantras should be used in some way as a tuning fork, tuning device. And it needs to be done in such a way that the person does realize it is a science, that the physical body is important. Please don't let monotheism influence you like this. Christianity, as if there's a God in the sky and we don't have any responsibility on the earth. If what the Vedic culture has been saying is true, God is right here, right now, and in your body. And you need to tune your body to receive different frequencies. You actually have to tune yourself and not expect that you deserve millions of dollars and to be the king of the world. This must be some kind of imbalance, or
Right.
queen of the world, or that your husband should listen to only you, or whatever. Whatever goes on in our heads often
Mhm.
is a product of so many things that we haven't slowed down enough to really even think about where they're coming from.
Right.
So hopefully these mantras, let's say you have a lot of grahas in one of these rashis. Let's say you've got a cluster in Vrishab. So we've looked at Mesha.
Yeah.
Now you have a cluster in Vrishab. So it might be really, really good to do this mentally, do the manas job. So it might be good to kind of do it inside, and also might be really good to do it, just 108 times a day out loud, because the out loud is what will vibrate the endocrine system. So mantras actually are really interesting because if you do them properly, they'll vibrate the thymus, they'll vibrate the thyroid, and all the glands in the middle of the brow. Because our
Okay.
body is a temple. You want to
Yeah.
wake it up. You want to ring the bell. You
Yeah.
want to ring the bell, wake it up. So Vrishab is Om, Um, Rim, Namaha. So
Okay.
this these long syllables are really important because the Shakti is in the long syllables. Those long syllables are actually feminine. So anytime you see the longer syllable, we want to do that. So Rim, Namaha.
Uh-huh. Okay.
Okay. Okay, Mithun Rashi. We of course have Budh here. And this one's a really, really interesting one. This Rashi, this Rashi can cause tremendous amounts of problems. So it's a very fascinating Rashi. It gives a lot of joy and a lot of sensuality, actually, like a lot of dependency on the senses in life. The person, maybe needs that, but it also goes out of this Rashi can go a bit out of balance. The Rashis of Budh are pretty interesting because they're natural third and sixth house. So to really think about that. And he's Prithvi Tattva, so he's very earth oriented. Even though this is an air sign, Budh being the Rashipatis, he's Prithvi. So we do need to realize that the signs of Mercury or Budh do have a very strong connection to this earth. Okay, and then this senses, actually the information you get through the senses. Mithun actually means, it's the sexual union. It's not in Vedic, it's not the twins that came from the West. So as you know, the eighth house is what? It's the what happens after marriage. And in the principle of Bhavat Bhavam, third house is eighth from eighth. So actually, a lot of the energy of the eighth lives in the third. Okay. So
Okay.
Mithun is Om, Rim, Lim, Lim, Namaha. Om, Rim, Lim, Lim, Namaha. Karak Rashi. And this is interesting because the source this comes from, being a Shakta source, they only write out two of the Rashis, and the other portion of the sadhana as feminine. The rest of them they write out in masculine gender in Sanskrit. The only two they write out as feminine actually is Kanya and Tula. So that's
Okay.
just something to contemplate. Okay. So Cancer, Om, Aim, Aim, Namaha. Om, Aim, Aim, Namaha. So this is that E that should be aim, just a quick
Okay.
aim. Okay. I wish I had this script here so you could see it easier. So it is the aim, but it's quick. So
Okay. And
Aim, Om, Aim, Aim, Namaha.
okay.
And the M syllable is really important because that's Mahadeva. That's where the energy goes inward. So we want to hold the M, the Om. We want the vibration. This is really important. So with each one, the M syllable is very important. Okay. And Simha Rashi is naturally Om, the proper Om, natural fifth house, which we know a lot about, right? Natural fifth house is a very special house. It's considered one of the most auspicious houses. So for Simha Rashi, it's actually the Pranava mantra, and you just do it twice. So it's just the Om Namaha, Om, Om, Namaha. Okay. So that actually is a big statement. People should contemplate what that means about Leo, actually, or Simha. Okay. Now you will see that I have Rahu with Kanya, because in many traditions, Rahu does co-rule Kanya Rashi, and Ketu co-rules Meena Rashi. Okay, so it's actually important distinction between Kanya and Mithuna Rashi. Okay, so this one is one of the longest ones. And for those of you who know any mantra sadhana or know about the rules with bija mantras, then you're probably going to start picking up on the elemental balance that is happening in some of these rashis. The ones with the longer, these longer bijas need much more balancing. There's even longer portions for the sadhana in the book that this comes from.
Okay.
So, so, so Kanya is Shum. So this SH should be the Shum with the
Okay.
back of the tongue. Shum. So Shum, Shum, Sum, Hum, Lum, Namaha.
Okay.
Shum, Shum, Sum, Hum, Lam, Namaha. Okay. Tula Rashi, which is actually given to the color black. Okay, that's why I selected it. So this one is Om, Kam, Kam, Gum, Gum, Nam, Namaha. And Tula Rashi and Kanya, once again, those both are given for whatever reason. The rest of the mantras are given in feminine gender. And because it comes from a Shakta tradition, that's probably important.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, we have Vrishchika. So we naturally have Ketu as the second lord as well. So Om, Chum, Chum, Jum, Jum, Nam, Namaha. Finished. This one's important. If someone has a lot of planets in Vrishchika, this is really good. This is
Now
really
the
good
color
stuff.
purple, is that the color of the Rashi as well somehow?
So
That
sometimes they make a reference to something that's almost like a violet
okay,
or infrared light.
I see.
And it's a very hard color to get. So yeah, like an infrared light or like a violet.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. And Dhanu Rashi. Now this one, we need the script because otherwise Dhanu and Makara are going to look exactly alike. So
Okay.
for those of you who understand this with the transliteration, this tum is the one that has the dot in the transliteration for Dhanu Rashi.
Okay.
So it's Tum Dum Dham Nam Namaha. Now this is an important Rashi. And I do think maybe tonight we should discuss some things around Dhanus. I have some charts
Okay.
because we're having Dhanu Rashi is a very, very interesting Rashi because of coming right after Vrishchika. And it's the first portion of the Shiva Rashis leading to the end. And also even in the Shiva Trimurti of the nakshatras, all of them land in the Navamsha between Dhanu and Meena. So the two Rashis of Guru actually end up falling in that final portion. Okay, Makara. It sounds almost exactly the same, but you should study Sanskrit a little. It's going to be hard for you with this if I don't have a proper microphone. But
Okay.
those of you who know, this is a different ta. So, but it is very similar. Okay, it's very similar. Really fascinating thing here is that the 9th and 10th house, the Dhanu Rashi and the Makara, even the sadhana portion is very similar for the two of them. And if you think about what that would be in the sky, it would just be where the sun is really high in the sky.
Okay.
So both of those, are really important rashis. So it's pretty much the same with a slightly different T. Om, tum, tum, dum, dham, num, namaha. Kumbha Rashi. Now Kumbha, this one, if you can get the person to do it, is really good. Because Kumbha Rashi is considered one of the Rashis that locks in fate much more than the others. It's natural 11th house. 11th house is 6th from the 6th, 12th from the 12th. It's the natural bada, it's ruled by both Shani and Rahu, and it's heavily Vayu, even though people are always showing water for it. It's heavily linked with Vayu because both Shani Dev and Rahu carry Vayu, Tattva, very strong. So Vayu is the one that leads to most diseases. Is the Vata rogue that you'll hear throughout Sanskrit texts. Shani and Rahu are the two that really tend to aggravate that. So these bijas are really important, especially in cases of undiagnosable illness. Okay, and that can also be of a mental sort, like if someone's just feeling, I don't know what's wrong with my mind, it just something's going on with my mind, my feelings, this one is a really good, because Dhanu Rashi has to do with all that. Sorry, not Dhanu, Kumbha Rashi has to do with a lot of that undiagnosable, mysterious issues that happen. Okay, so this one's Om, Pum, Pum, Bum, Bum, Mum, Namaha. Om, Bum, Pum, Bum, Bum, Mum, Namaha. Okay, and now we're to Meena Rashi, and this is another one that's very elemental in its attempt to balance. Very fascinating because the other place we saw that was Kanya, and Kanya is across from Meena. So these both are being balanced in a tattva way. Okay, these two that oppose each other, they're being balanced in a very specific way. Those who know any mantra shastra will catch this. So, I mean, you literally have every element bija besides Akash listed here, because Meena Rashi is the only one that carries Akash.
And that's the color?
It's imbalanced. Akash, yeah, see, this is the thing. It's hard to capture that. Yeah.
Yeah. It could
So
be
this
blue,
color,
black, orange,
right? It's hard to
depending on the
capture
time of
Meena
the
Rashi.
day. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. So you could just even meditate on the Milky Way's color. You can't capture this Akasha Ganga, the Ganga of the Milky Way.
Or maybe a
But so
rainbow,
you
because all the colors would be there.
would be captured inside of the Akash. Yeah, you
Yeah.
could say that. You could totally do that. So this is a kind of weird Rashi anyway. Pisces, out of all the Rashis, is a bit strange to really understand because it's so auspicious and so inauspicious at the same time in varying texts. So if we look here, this one is Om, Yam, Ram, Lam, Vam, Namaha. And so if you know this, your Yam is Vayu, Ram, Agni, Lam, Prithvi, Vam, Jala.
It's like activating your chakras in a way, this particular mantra.
It could be, all of them are. All of them actually have a place in the
Ram,
street.
Lam, Vam. So Yeah, it's almost
I'll
connected.
leave it. Yep, I'll leave it to the person to do their meditation with it and see what happens.
Okay.
But exactly, and the order is important. So these are out of order when if it came to the chakras, it would be out of order in that way. So they're moving the sound in a specific way. So Om Yam says Om Yam Ram Lam Vam Namaha. Om Yam Ram Lam Vam Namaha. So just if you can even do it like that 108 times, please don't go Yum Ram Lam 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 like that. Just don't do that. Don't do all that. Yum Ram Lam Lam. Like it's not
Yeah.
going to be effective. It's actually going to aggravate your nervous system. So once again, we're not monotheistic where we're thinking that some God is just going to come down and do this thing for us.
Yeah.
Now, some God might come down and do a thing for you. I'm not saying they won't, but I would say that if there is a compassionate intelligence, it wants you to be strong on your own 2 feet. So really do this with care. Do it with care. Om Yam Ram Lam Vam Namaha. Make sure the sound is good, even if you have to go slow. Okay, so Kapilji, any questions? And would you like to go into any of the Rashis specifically? I do have, just to show you a few of the slides from my class that I taught at the conference
Okay.
about supernatural happenings in human beings and how you can see some of that in the chart. Just kind of fascinating because some of it is Rashi based and some of that
Okay.
is actually Rashi based. But yeah, so do you have any questions about any of these?
Um, well, the main thing you answered was in the beginning when I asked. The other thing I would say, like you were saying about the Aquarius, how it's,
Mhm.
sixth from the sixth, Vayu Tattva. So if let's say a person has cluster of planets in this particular Rashi, so during this month, let's say if they have malefic planets in their Rashi, it's only malefics, should that too will like neutralize that energy by doing that this mantra?
Yeah, so what I would recommend in that case, you mean like a cluster of malefics?
Colostrum
Kruta Graha?
malefic, that's you have Rahu, Ketu, Saturn, or Rahu, Saturn, Mars, and Mercury sitting there or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So first of all, Krura grahas are not necessarily malefic. Krura does mean cruel, but this is very important to understand. Yes, this mantra is going to help, and it would help to balance if the person did it very sincerely. Okay, because what you're listing right there, Shani is already a carrier of Vayu.
Yeah.
So Shani is there, he's going to increase. Even though it's considered, all this like Mula Tricone, this, that, he rules the sign, some planets you don't want so strong.
Yeah.
I, I actually am not a believer in all this, like, me, like Ucha Nicha, all this. I
Yeah.
actually have very different views on this. So you don't want, most of the time, you want to be in the middle. You don't want something too much in excess or too deprived or too well fed, just to the point where it's fat,
Yeah.
like this big head. So what happens is sometimes the Krura grahas, if they're getting too strong, they do need to be addressed. In the lifestyle. I hate to say it. I know no one wants to hear this. Everyone wants to do like some fast Vastu remedy. And
Yeah.
you ask them how many of them does it really work for an extended period of time? I'm really worried about how much we're depending on quick fixes, and it doesn't. Quick fixes, and see what would really help in that case, if I had to be very honest with you, what you're saying, that person would have to come to an understanding.
Okay.
Once they come to an understanding, there's ability to work with that. But that's a very fixed, what you're describing is when you get a lot of Krura grahas, is you get more of a fixed element together. Because, okay, think about what they mean by cruel. What do they mean by cruel? What do you think?
I mean,
What do you,
they're
what do
there
you
to it's like instead of the murderer's nourishment, it kind of gives you the nourishment of the guru or the father. Like, no, you go out and do it. I'm not gonna do it for you. So it's kind of like
That's
that.
actually a good definition. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's great. I'm actually relieved to hear that
yeah.
because so many
That's what
people are
cruelty
so
means. Like you face the world. That's it.
stern.
You face the Mars is not gonna be nurturing you. He's gonna put you in the battlefield. Like now, go and fight. That's how you're gonna learn how to be a great soldier. Just go.
Okay, excellent. That's
Yeah.
exactly it. That's exactly what Kruta is referring to, is a certain kind of behavior that is perhaps not so gentle.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, oddly, Shani can be very gentle. Shani can be very gentle in personality. He's actually deals a lot with Radha. Okay. But if you look at Radha, her life was Krura.
Mm-hmm.
She lived in the woods after Krishna left. I mean, she was like the queen of the gopis, but they were all crazy.
Yeah.
All these, not literally crazy, and they were happier than the average person, I'm sure. But
Yeah.
I'm just saying that, Radha, you can look at the gentleness. That's why all of Shani's nakshatras are such. They
Okay.
actually are gentle. They're very gentle in nature.
Okay.
Right. So some of the Krura grahas, we have to understand how they become Krura. But what you're pointing out here, Mangal is the taskmaster. He is definitely the taskmaster. So he is the one that's actually harshest, I would say, like, let's say in a relationship setting,
Mm-hmm.
he is opposite of intimate. So he literally gets the strength in the 10th house, which is exposed. The fourth house is all the intimacy. Fourth house is real, it's concealed. It's midnight. It's the midnight point. And so Venus and Moon do really well there because they love the intimacy. But Mars, he's he's that guy that's he's gonna point out all your faults. Like if you're in a spiritual community and you have someone policing your ego all the time,
Yeah.
that person probably is Mongol. This is a cruda energy because it causes stress. Instead of causing harmony, it's causing stress. So you can often say to those people, look, I already have enough problems. Can we just relax? Like, can we just relax? I already have enough. I already have enough stress. Do we have to do this? But I'm kind of joking, but some of this is communication, whether people want to accept it or not. Some of this is actually adjusting our communication and adjusting the other person's understanding of what we need, especially if we're living in a household with them. And sometimes, Kapilji, it's hopeless and you just have to live,
Yeah.
so I would not promise remedies for something like that. What I would do is encourage maybe even the person, if the person, let's say the person with all Saturn, Mars, all this stuff in
Mm-hmm.
Aquarius you're talking about, like, let's say there's a household with that and there's an issue, because not everyone with that conjunction is going to have an issue, but there's cases where just unique, the moon's in the right place and therefore they have that. If the person themselves won't do the mantra to balance it, I would encourage like the partner or the children that are being affected, because what's happening is you are getting the onslaught of that Rashi. That person is electrically shocking the
Right.
family with
Yeah.
the Kumbha Rashi effect. So then it might be good for the family members that are most affected to harmonize that in themselves. Because sometimes it doesn't do any good to even ask anyone for anything.
Right.
just, it's just,
Yeah.
human nature. It's just
Yeah.
sometimes, mystery. Like, it should be easier, but it's often not. So it's a good question, but I'd have to answer it honestly in the sense that just not to give false hope that, oh, if your child is talking back to you, or your spouse or whatever it is, does this mantra, they're going to have shanti. You need to find the shanti. So if
So
they,
if they
if
do have
let's,
a child like this, so the parent
Mhm.
can do the mantra on their own, which can harmonize the energy of within the household. And so the child
I my experience with this, and this is direct experience, or I wouldn't say it, is that whenever I've had anything extremely challenging like this,
Mhm.
when I adjusted my own willingness to tolerate, and I adjusted my own internal practice, oddly, the other person starts becoming softer.
Okay.
It can take some time. It can take some time. It really can take some. Hey, the pie team and you guys know I've joked about my dad, right?
Yeah.
My dad's not an easy person
Yeah.
at all. At all. I mean, my brother and I are caring for him after all his surgeries and all of this,
Yeah.
and he's, we love him. He's difficult, very, very difficult on all levels. Interestingly enough, a lot of Krura uh, conjunctions, a lot of Vrishchika, all this stuff.
Yeah.
So it's,
Okay.
um, so, but this has been very true in this case, that no matter what he threw at me, he was very upset when I went to India at 17. He didn't
Yeah.
forgive me for a long time, very upset. And when my brother started coming to visit me, I got blamed with being the bad influence
Yeah.
on my brother. It just was a snowball effect.
Right.
And I'd have to say, if you truly want harmony, you will behave that way. The only part of us that doesn't want harmony is typically what people are calling the ego. Like, oh, I can't believe you said that to me.
Yeah.
But we never sit there and go, well, who am I to be spoken to anyway?
People
Like, who
don't
am
realize. See,
I?
once people start contemplating on the fact that where did you come from? Okay, when you were in the mother's womb, you were this embryo, and that embryo was even like one cell. Who is you? Before that pregnancy occurred, before your mother and father conceived and tried to even conceive, where were you? This is like more of, it's kind of like a chariot and a person riding a chariot, and you're the passenger. And it's like
Absolutely.
the chariot is like going to all over the place. I have this need, I have this desire. Oh, look, this person said this to me. And then you're just sitting inside, you're just kind of like just relaxing, enjoying the view. Once you realize that's who you are, it's kind of like your biomechanical suit. So you're just saying something to the biomechanical suit. The passenger inside is just there. You can affect it. The horses want to go one way, the charioteer wants to take you another way. They're being hurt, the horses are hungry. So when they're hungry, they eat food. So who's eating food? Is it you eating food, or is it those chemical imbalances and reactions that are hitting your brain saying eat food and the desire of this particular food? So once you realize is that you are what, it's like you just come in. It's like you land in the airport, you're in the airport for an hour, and then your next connect flight comes and you go. You're not in that
You're a
airport.
passenger.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a
Once you
beautiful way to say it. Yeah,
get that, you're
beautiful.
nothing. You're not even alone in a way. You're not even, if you think you will come alone, go alone, but you are, it's like, in order to be alone, that means there has to be something else there to say you're alone. But you're not even that. You're just nothing. You're away, you're far beyond even alone. So once you get into these type of depths of who you are, then it doesn't matter who says what to you. You just like, you have to be at that level, which I'm starting to get.
Well, it's not even a level. Let me say this.
Realization.
Yeah, I get, yes. And an interesting thing to contemplate is if you really find something that you really desire and you really love, and for all people it's going to be different, okay? But one of our most abundant resources is emotional energy, desire. Human being is filled with desire. Please don't act like you're not. Like
Yeah.
when people tell me they have none, you have it for something. Now depression will make you feel that you don't, but
Yeah.
even that in some strange way, all that energy of desire is going into the mood. So we have an abundance of mood, abundance of emotional energy, some way. And when you put that, when you link it with something else and you actually really start marrying it to that, whatever that goal is, let's say some kind of goal or some kind of thing,
Mhm.
um, you don't like to feel separate from that source anymore. You don't like to. So if
Yeah.
someone starts talking things to you that upset you, you don't even want to feel it. You don't want to be separated from the beloved so long that
Yeah.
you have to deal with this other emotion. Your emotions actually start changing because they all start going towards the one thing you love. You don't
Yeah.
even want to bother. It's like let the person think that about me. What does it change? I'm in the room with my beloved.
Yeah.
Like what does it change? It doesn't change anything. But if you actually only care about that, so what, in other words, you need to somehow divert your energy and only care about something that is away from everyone else.
It's
Because
like
other people are the problem.
you have to kind of become Nachiketa, and you really have to kind of learn the lessons from Yama. That's
Well,
the only
that's
thing
a
you
big
learn.
statement. I'm definitely not that boy, but
Yeah.
but I do understand that is a very, very pure yes.
Yeah.
One could argue that he was a little boy.
Yeah.
It wasn't like a 20-year-old man that
Yeah.
Yama was offering dancing girls. It was a little boy.
Right.
I'm kind of joking, but I'm saying that this example of absolute purity in that case, is absolute, the innocence, I should say, not just purity, it's absolute innocence. But yeah, I mean, there's many examples. See, what's unique about the Vedic literature, what's unique about it is that there are so many different paths, and all of each rishi, each you could say sant, um, had their own, it was like their own river going to the ocean. Each one handled things so differently, and not one was greater than the other. You might have someone that is like Adi Shankaracharya, who was a celibate from birth and all those things. He was the perfect, pure, young, fresh energy. Um, Going into this Vedantic world almost in a way that would be unreal for anyone to do. I mean, he's so otherworldly in a way. Then you have someone like Vishwamitra, who was very human. Okay. He was
Yeah.
a king first, and he was envious of Vashishta. He was envious. I mean, the whole thing was because he envied what Vashishta had in every way. And that's really what propelled him to start fighting with Vashishta. So, and then he also failed in his tapasya numerous times. Then you have people like Agastya Muni, who's also another otherworldly type character, but he had his own way, and he was married in a forest ashram and all of these
Mhm.
things. Shishta is like the perfect rishi, really. And he had the perfect, his wife, Arundhati. I was just talking about her with Navji on Dr. Arjun Pai's channel, Lakshmi.
Okay.
And these kind of feminine energies, it doesn't mean you have to be in a female body, but those people who are feminine, let's say, that take on this Patni Vrata. This is very, very linked with the energy, the real energy of Lakshmi. The real wealth comes through those kinds of people, not just gold and all this Kubera and all of this stuff. But Arundhati, Very, very interesting story to study, because
Okay.
really, uh, once again, someone who chose a path and diverted all of their energy into it, all of
Okay.
their energy. Okay, so yeah. So once again, pick your own path, and then go into that.
Okay.
Yeah. And instead of trying to correct someone else.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's probably the most effective thing to do.
Got it.
Um, yeah.
So
So
how about we now talk about the zodiac signs you were um, wanting to show us as well, the continuation.
okay, so well, last time we spent a lot of time on Tula Rashi, Mesha Rashi.
Yeah.
Is there a Rashi that stands out to you just quickly? I do have some charts about Dhanu Rashi. Should we just go to Dhanu?
Yeah, Dhanu.
Okay,
We
let's go to
can
Dhanu.
we can do Dhanu and Leo.
Okay, and Leo.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, so Dhanu Rashi is very interesting. So in this last Parsharas conference, I focused on, the extraordinary qualities that come when you practice yoga, but I focused on it in a more, down to earth way, meaning that anyone who does anything extraordinary in this world has to have some form of dharana, jnanam, or jnana, and samadhi, some form of it, meaning you have to have some kind of one pointed focus. It has to continue, and you have to be absorbed in what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
So I had charts of people who had extraordinary abilities, and I had about 20. We were not able to go through all of them. So I have three here, three or four
Okay.
here. And one of the most common factors of these people ends up being the presence of gurus rashis. Hands down, every single one of them. And most of them had Dhanu. Mostly they would have Dhanu Rashi. Um, Meena Rashi does show up as well.
Okay.
And most of them have Dhanu Rashi. So this is just a unique feature of Dhanu Rashi, that it is somehow linked with extraordinary happenings. Now, I want all of you to think about two famous, very attained people in Vedic literature. Let's say Ramayan. There are two people, two characters that are both considered to be Dhanu Rashi. Both of them are said to have a Mula moon, and in the south, one of them is said to have a Revati moon, but that's still Meena Rashi, it's still a Guru Rashi. So Hanumanji and Ravana, right? They're both
Right.
said to be Mula Nakshatra, which is
Mm-hmm.
Dhanu Rashi. And in the south, it said that he's Meena Rashi, which is still Guru. Ravana's Meena Rashi.
Okay.
So when we think of um, attainments, they're safest in the hands of someone with great devotion. So if you look at Hanumanji, he had his powers revoked until his devotion to Ram, until his actual path unfolded. Then he was reawoken to his attainments, his siddhis. So there's something very interesting about Guru being the Lord of Dhanu Rashi and showing the right path to the use of the extraordinary potential in that Rashi.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so what we're going to do is just look at a few of these charts. And there are a few nakshatras here. And Kapilji, this is where I want you to guess.
Okay.
Okay, so this boy was blind from birth because of, well, not from birth, but from like 1 or 2 years old. It says here, please take screenshots, anyone. He learned to hear like a bat. He could literally do everything anyone else could do through his hearing. He learned to hear through sonar, like dolphins and bats.
Wow.
Which nakshatra do you think would learn to hear like that?
Saravan?
Shravana, right?
Yeah.
Astrology is crazy. You're going to be able to guess all of these.
Okay.
Shravana.
Yeah.
He is heavy Shravana.
Oh wow,
Okay,
look
so he
at
says,
that. Yeah.
yeah, but the presence of the Dhanu Rashi is very strong. Okay, so this is a really common theme for these people, is that you're gonna see something to do with a Guru Rashi. And to your point about Leo, Leo was not far behind Dhanu, by the way. And we
Really.
got to think of 159
Yeah,
is
159, yeah.
very special in Nadi astrology. So that Mesha, Simha, and Dhanu, they
Yeah.
actually show up quite a bit in these people. So
Okay.
Dhanu just happens to be loaded with most of them, or like some very prominent planet, specifically the planets that are more likely to give the supernatural power of some sort. So this boy learned to literally see with his ears.
Wow.
So it's just a very interesting case. Okay, so we'll move on. Okay, now I want you to guess this one. He's the fastest swordsman. He
Oh
was
my
able
God.
to cut a bullet. Who would be the fastest?
I would say
Which
this would be
nakshatra?
Ashwini. Ashwini, or it
See,
could also be,
you're nailing it. You're
yeah.
nailing it. So, so yeah, he has a very powerful Mangal in Ashwini, conjunct his moon. Okay, so once again, see how nakshatras are that you can just but once again, he has that presence of the Rahu, the strong Rahu, sitting in Dhanu. Now, what's interesting about this chart is he's got that trine that we were just talking about,
Yeah.
the Mesha and Dhanu. Okay, these Rashis are critical. That 159 is really critical.
Is his
It
Mars in
really,
Kritika or
his Mars is in Ashwini.
Ashwini? Oh, Mars is in Ashwini. Okay.
Yeah, it's in third pada.
Okay, third pada. And then, where's Moon?
Barney.
Barney. Okay.
Discipline, right?
Yeah.
He's got the
Went in
discipline.
fast.
And once again, this Surya, this strong Surya sitting there in Magha, but Simharashi. So
Yeah.
this trine here going on. Now the nodes or one of the shadow grahas being in Dhanu Rashi was interesting to observe too.
Okay.
That I saw quite a bit. So that's a very interesting thing to observe there. Okay. This one might be harder for you to get, but if you really think about it, who would have an exceptional photographic memory?
Oh, that would have to be Chitra.
See, Kapilji, you nailing this. This lady remembers everything photographically,
Yeah.
literally everything.
I think, oh yes, I've heard of this lady. Yes. Yes, 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 yes. She
So
even
it's
remembers
actually,
what her best friend said in the fourth grade, and she's still upset about that because it won't go away. That feeling or that what was said. Yeah.
yeah, she remembers like photographic things, like the visual. So
Yeah.
actually, that's a Ketu thing. So when you said Chitra, the reason I'm saying it's correct
Yeah.
is because in Ketu's names, he's constantly called Chitra.
Okay.
Chitragupta, the hidden picture, the guy around Yama that records all the events.
Right.
So he's constantly called Chitra. I without even looking at this chart, I knew the moon would be there with Ketu. I
Okay.
knew that Ketu would be, I knew it. Yeah, I literally knew it would have to be Ketu. So once again, we're seeing the Rashi of Jupiter amplified, a Rashi of Jupiter amplified, but we're seeing, to your point, Leo.
Yeah.
And something I saw, it was constant. Either the trine was full, so there was Mesha Rashi, Simha Rashi, and Dhanu, or if the other option was to have it in Meena. which is of course a Rashi of Jupiter. So
Okay.
Guru is definitely involved with these supernatural happenings for sure. With these supernatural means not ghosts and all that, but something that's extraordinary,
Right.
something that's just extraordinary. Okay, do you know this guy?
Oh, this is the person who never ate, right? For like 20 years or
Yeah,
30 years or
and
something.
they tested him in a hospital. He isn't
Yeah.
drinking water or anything.
Yeah.
So which planet wouldn't eat or drink, do you think? Which graha?
Which graha wouldn't eat or drink? That would have to be either Ketu, or it would have to be
Who would be the
Tuesday.
Lord of fasting?
Oh,
Who do
Shani,
you
Shani or Ketu.
so who do you think is close to who do you think is in the second house?
It has to be Shani then. Yeah.
Shani and so see, the planet in Dhanu has a lot, or the planet in a Rashi of Jupiter will have a lot to do with the thing, something to do with the supernatural power that may be happening, or the supernatural thing. I've noticed it also, Leo, once again in Aries. The planet sitting in that trine, the 159, that the Agni trine, will define a lot of what the person's thing may be. That they have some, and if you notice, a lot of these
Did
people,
he did he worship any deity instead of like
so
male god, some female goddess?
of course, look, he's got the nose ring, Durga.
Durga, okay.
He's a great devotee of Amba. Oh yeah, he saw her. I mean,
Oh.
look at his eyes. He's telling the truth.
And
I'm
he
saying
has
that,
look at his young picture, has a very feminine, like I wouldn't be able to tell if it's a male or female. I would have been like this, so it's a female, like the way his whole body
yeah,
structure is and the whole.
yeah, yeah. He worshiped Devi. He's a great devotee of Devi.
Okay.
Um, so yeah, absolutely. This is another. Now, in his case, it is supernatural. I mean, it's not
Okay.
just some kind of
Because I saw
sensory.
the fact that Virgo is ninth from Jupiter. That's why I said that.
Mhm.
Because if Jupiter is the gods, is the guru of the gods, then who are the gods worshipping? So you will see ninth from where Guru is. So that would be Virgo. That's why I'm like it's a female, but then Mars is sitting there, right? Like Durga, or like you said, like
That would definitely be fifth from Jupiter.
yeah. No, from Virgo it becomes ninth.
Oh, I see what you mean, from
Yeah,
Virgo. Yes, it
yeah.
does. Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. And you'll find a lot that Prithvi Tattva has a lot to do with the energy of Devi. I've seen this a lot. So grahas in Makara, grahas in
What does
Kanya, and
this
grahas.
mean that you have on the charts like 4-3 and 17-2? Is that degrees?
Okay. No, that is the 17th nakshatra is
Oh, I
Anuradha.
see.
That's
Okay, okay,
his second pada. So of course he has Shani. Look at his moon, and it is hemmed in with Ketu and Shani. And
okay.
he refused this world. He rejected the world. He rejected food, which is the basis of staying in this world.
Yeah.
So um yeah, very interesting setup here. Uh, and also Ashlesha has a lot to do with fasting, either eating a lot or eating nothing. Has a lot to
Okay.
do with that. The nagas, the serpents,
And look, his
they either
Leo
eat.
is also active with trine from Saturn, Rahu, Mercury.
It's amazing. I know this was
Yeah.
something that I had so many charts that the Agni trine was loaded with the people who would do some kind of extraordinary thing. I mean, perhaps they may die early or something. I mean, the Agni is not always good for longevity. This
Yeah.
guy lived a long time, but Agni burns at both ends, but that might be why it shines so bright.
Right.
So it's not about that trine's not so much about longevity, it's about something extraordinary.
Okay.
So yeah, so it's just a little interesting thing to see, and you'll find this kind of thing happening a lot. The exception to There's another exception here. is that I did see a lot of Mula Ardra,
Okay.
like one planet Mula, one planet Ardra. You will see that, but it wasn't consistent enough for me to say this is the fire trine was consistent. Or only thing that would break that tended to be Meena Rashi. So instead of someone having Danu, they would have Meena. But
Okay.
yeah, that was the only thing. So that was consistent enough in the research to say, okay, that's pretty reliable. But the you would see quite a bit, even in his case, Venus is in Ardra and Shani is in Mula. And I believe quite a few of these people might have had something. Now, see, in her case, she's got the Meena Rashi, Kanya Rashi more. She doesn't have the in
Okay.
her case. But I believe he also has Ardra Mula.
Okay.
Yeah, it was common, but it just wasn't the most. Oh yeah, here it is again. Ketu and Ardra, Venus and Mula. Okay, but he's got a cluster in Dhanu Rashi. So this is
Okay.
yeah, yeah. So yeah, Kapil, any questions? I know it's getting late.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
my thing was like, how you kind of explained last time with the eggs and the Agni and how the life comes in, right? With the sign of Aries, and then how Chitra is the genetic code. So when it comes to Leo and Sagittarius, is there correlations and connections like that? That's what I wanted.
Yes, absolutely. What you do is you look at the opposite sign and the nakshatras give the hint.
Okay.
Okay, so nakshatras always give the hint. So when you get Dhanu Rashi, it's across from Mithuna.
Yeah.
Now, one of the easiest ways to see this is our personal information and our personal philosophy. Okay,
Right.
Mithuna's information, Dhanu Rashi, in some way has to do with philosophical, but I would actually even dare to say that Mithuna would be the mechanics, and Dhanu Rashi is that which defies logic. Actually, this is where logic starts getting defied.
Okay.
Whenever the Rashis start their journey into Shiva,
Yeah.
you're going inward, and the rules of this world start becoming upside down.
It's kind of like
So
quantum mechanics starts from Shiva Trimurti.
it really does. It
Okay.
really does. So the Rashis belonging to the path of Shiva, from that Dhanu Rashi to Meena Rashi, they start flipping things on their head. So Meena is the biggest one that flips reality, but Dhanu starts it.
Dhanu
Dhanu
starts it.
starts all.
And
So
then you were
Mithuna,
saying during your Leo mantra, the Om Aum Namaha, and then you said there's some
yeah.
strong correlation. So what is Leo has that you are wanting to for us to show? So give us a more hint and so we can dive deep into it.
So look at Simha Rashi and look at the nakshatras. Now think of Kumbha and think of the nakshatras. So just hold that for a minute. So what you've got happening at the heart of Simha Rashi is progeny, actually. It's okay, so
It's
Simha
Bhaga.
is Bhaga.
Yeah.
Yes. It's personal fortune. Now, what do you have across from that? Shadavishaka, which is the vow and fate. Okay, now this is really interesting, because what you have happening in Leo is the personal kingdom, the persons, home, family. It's actually the Rashi of the Rishis. There's a secret why this is Om for Leo. Leo is the Rashi of the personal Rishis, like their family unit. So the Rishi out in the forest, that would be the Leo family like this. And what are they doing? They're doing good for the world, which we find in Kumbha. So Leo is serving Kumbha. That is what it's supposed to be doing, is serving. It takes the vow to protect the people, whether it's spiritually or whether it's through sitting on the throne. Leo is, even though Surya is considered a Kshatriya planet, and Leo is very much Kshatriya oriented, it also has a Brahmin side. So there is that element of the rishis and the householders, the householder rishis. I would say the householder rishis belong to Leo, not the celibates.
Okay.
The householder, because everything in Leo, look at the nakshatras. It's all genetics. It's all having children. It's the most sexual sign according to the nakshatras, because you get Purva Falguni, the front of the bed, Uttara Falguni, the back of the bed. You
Hey,
get
it's
the, I
all
mean,
over
it's,
the place. Yeah.
yeah, it's actually pretty graphic too. They didn't have shame about it. I mean, they talk
Yeah.
about the woman even being on top. I mean, that's how graphic it is with Leo, the way they describe it. So they're literally saying, like, the wife on top, the husband on bottom, and out comes a child. And so they're really letting you know that this sign is a natural fifth house.
Yeah.
So
But
it's
at the same time, it's
progeny.
the Rishi's house. And
Well,
this
the
is where the
rishi,
ignorance have been lost, or the ignorance is here because of the lost true literature that the British
I
took.
believe that. I believe that absolutely
Because it's like
because
they made sex and sexual acts separate and very, deviant and, very malevolent versus God and, the place of worship. While
yeah,
it's
yeah.
supposed to be actually the same, it's just it's
No, it's supposed to
our
be
whole
divine.
history is whatever we have learned is just complete wastefulness. That's what I feel. It's just there needs to
Kapilji,
be
I love that you're saying this. No, this is so
it's a
important because what
complete
you're
waste
saying,
whatever I've learned into my up to my 40s. It's nothing. It's nothing. It's
well,
like they gave a little bit of resonance of the actual urn that is there in Hinduism. They just spread a little urn and they said this is Hinduism. Well, the real thing is like just hidden or just being shamed wrongfully. That's what I
yes,
think.
being shamed because, see, having children was a gift. It was a sacred thing.
Yeah,
Having a good partner that would care for you and take care of your needs was a gift.
yeah,
Having like, there's all through Vedic literature, there's celebration of this. And actually, I was just talking about this last night with Navji. There's a character in quite a few Purans, but in Devi Bhagavatam,
mhm,
he sounds, he's very almost violently approaching renunciation. Like he sounds like a 10-year-old boy when he's speaking about women, like he has no clue. It's all like almost hateful. It's almost hateful. If I go to women, they'll just want to drain my seed and all this stuff.
yeah,
And so he goes to his father. His father gently tries to detangle him from this, and he finally goes to Janak. And King Janak actually works with him patiently. Finally, he gets married and has these amazing offspring, because if you are of that caliber of a person, if you have children, it blesses the world.
yeah,
Isn't so Janak in some way was trying to detangle him from this self-absorbed, because what the British did, which was really a sin, and what they've done with Christianity and all these things, is to vilify the sexual act, is to make you violent. You have a
yeah,
lot of repression and violence when we vilify this stuff, when we making women dirty and all of this. And how can they be
yeah,
dirty? You're born. You have a mother. You might have a daughter. Like, what is this? This is just silliness. It's really immature, but it's a dark kind of immaturity, because it causes those people who are most against desire are usually very cruda, very harsh, and they need to be careful. I'm not saying you shouldn't be a celibate monk as a man or a woman, or whoever
yeah,
you are. You don't even have to be a man or woman, whatever you are. If you tend being a celibate monk, then you want to check. You really want to check if you're becoming a better, more spiritual person truly or not. And the way you know that is if you're looking down on people, All you've done is collected a pile of trash called spiritual pride. That's all
Yeah.
you've done. You have not gotten closer to liberation. And that's what I would feel. Is that's what I observe. These people have become more heartless.
Yeah.
And to become heartless can't be the way. So, anyways, Leo, to this point, this is excellent because Leo is that heart. It is the heart of courage. It is the heart of the creative potency. It is Leo is one it you saw with all those extraordinary people. It was one of the signs that showed up just as much as Dhanu.
Yeah.
So the rishis in Magha, we have the Pitris, we have the ancestors. So we have who is going to be reborn through Purva Falguni. It's nothing but the ancestors being reborn. And through Kumbha, we get the population. See, Kumbha is all the people, it's the population of the world.
Yeah.
And you have the Vrat in the middle. So it means that you also don't be careless with sex either. There's a vow that's needed. There's a vow that's needed that you're going to be responsible with your activities. Varun sees to this. This is why Varun can give so many problems in marriage. Shadabhishaka can give a lot of problems because whatever vows we didn't fulfill. So we get someone pregnant in one life and we just desert them out of fear
Yeah.
or whatever. It's Shadabhishaka Nakshatra that reminds us of this. So when two people have a conjunction in Shadabhishaka and they get married, most likely there was some unfulfilled vow, is what they say. So this is it. The king takes a vow, Vrat, to look over the kingdom. And Kumbha is that kingdom. Kumbha is the masses. It is
Okay.
that. With Dhanu, it is similar in the sense that it is the talent. In some way, see, Mithun is a talented Rashi, is very talented. And it has, something to do with that whole ninth house, Dhanu Rashi being across from it, has
See,
something
here's
to
a
do with.
yeah,
Mhm.
go ahead. Oh no, I
No,
was
no, no.
just gonna say, like, in a way, you like the opposite thing you're saying is that all the gossip happens in the third house, Gemini, right? All the neighbors gossip, all the TMZ stuff happens. And when you take that directly
And
across,
sixth
see,
house.
so Gemini is
Or
the mouth.
sixth house too.
So Gemini is the mouth. You take the information in, but it's wasteful, right? It's a complete like waste. It's shit. So what happens is when you take it to Sagittarius, Sagittarius is like, no, like I'm gonna take it out from the other end, and look, this is what you're involving into. It's just pure dung.
Garbage. Yeah,
Yeah,
just
so
a dump.
that's what it is. Every Rashi will show it, like every Rashi will become the uh entering and the excreting point of whatever it needs to do. So, like
Yeah,
for
they
example, Leo can
function
give
off of.
ego. Leo can give ego, but take that ego to the public and they'll show you what that is. You know, you will, no politician is ever 100% loved by people. No king is ever loved by people. They said, this is who you are. So don't do, so that's how I guess we can understand, you know.
No, that's Guilty. You've had some really profound insights tonight. I hope everyone's listening because some of the things you've said are really, really spot on. And this is one of the principles that we should be using in Rashi's is always the opposite because of the 1-7. See, we get hints from the Rishis when they say that 1-7 is sought,
Yeah.
truth. So there's telling you something there. The truth of one Rashi lies in the test of the one across from it. Just like you're
And as well as the
saying.
nakshatra too, right?
And the nakshatras do it. The nakshatras tell the deeper story. So there we find out like Purva Falguni, we get the couple that's populating, but in Shadabhishaka we get the humanity, right? So we get they tell more of the detailed story. Another interesting thing is in medical astrology because if you're indiscriminate with Purva Falguni, you can get an illness, which is Shadabhishaka.
Okay.
Right. So some of it does relate to medical astrology, and the Rashis of Bud, to your point, are they deal with the most like enemies, like the natural sixth house, gossip, all those things. And the Rashis of Guru are the remedy to that. And Guru is wise. Guru is wise. We have to remember that Guru is not necessarily the one that is clever.
Mm-hmm.
Mercury is clever and he's got a lot of words.
Yeah.
And Guru might have less words, but Guru has the depth. So all of this chatter gets drowned. You can always tell when someone's functioning more from a place of Guru than Bud, because the person with the Guru, they're not going to want to focus on the petty. So you could say Mithuna Rashi in some way is the petty
Yeah.
side. It
And then when you
has
take
that.
that, when Mercury takes that pettiness to Guru, say, hey, look at this information I know. It'll show
He's going to be
exactly
like,
what it is. He said, look, I'm going to become the rectum here, and I'm going to show you what this is. That's what this
throw it
is.
out.
So yeah, so everything is going to cut something else. Like, for example, certain nakshatra can represent seduction and lust. What is the end point of that misery? You have that, it's only going to end up in the actual secretion. So,
In the actual colon, the eighth house.
yeah. So
Well,
that's what it shows.
that one, the Kapilji, that one is because Vrishab Rashi deals with eating. Second
Eating,
house
yeah.
deals with literally the
Literally
mouth.
eating.
So the eighth house is literally getting rid of the food. So
Yeah.
Vrishab dealing with nourishment, you have to be really careful what nourishing yourself with, because it will come out through Scorpio.
Yeah. That's
It
the
will,
thing.
it,
You'll
it
deal with
definitely comes.
those type of issues. Yeah. You know what's
Yeah.
fascinating? Maybe next time in the third part is Scorpio. Like you said,
Yeah.
it's misunderstood like no other.
Oh yeah, that
That you're
one.
Scorpio, you're this,
So,
you're this. So we'll dive into Scorpio, Taurus in the next session.
yeah, that would be
Yeah.
great. And also we'll do a few nakshatra techniques that we discussed that we don't have to
Okay.
discuss here. Yeah,
Yeah. So we'll set
good.
up the third one soon.
Okay.
All right. Thank you,
Thank you,
Yi, for
Jyoti.
coming
Okay.
again.
Thank you. May I close just with a
Yep.
quick mantra?
Yes.
Okay. Om Aim Hreem Kleem Chamundaye Viche. Thank you all. Thank you.